Um, sorry, am I live? I'm getting buffering issues going on during that bit. Let me know in the comments if you can see me and if everything is okay. We are back again. It's another Sunday night here from the Podding Shed live. Um, weather is crap, isn't it? Weather is absolutely rubbish. It's tipping it down out there that I can hear, and I'm not liking it very much. So, um, thankfully, this shed is warm. Anyway, enough about the weather. Excellent. Somebody in the Facebook group saying all okay on Facebook. Idaho saying all is good. Chili Phil says I'm a bit blurry. Um, mm, okay, could be. Don't know what's going on there. It looks perfect on my screen. That's all I know. So we'll soldier on. I think it's just a signal. The weather causing havoc sometimes. I've actually upgraded the internet here, so hopefully it's going to work out better, but teething problems happen. Anyway, what we're going to be talking about today is the Christmas. I'm getting a feedback from somewhere. Christmas gift ideas. So, what the idea is, I want you all to just share with me a few of your ideas of what you would like to find underneath your Christmas tree. And what I would also say then, what you can do is if you know anybody that's asking you what you want for Christmas, go and send them a link to this video after the live show. Excuse me, after it has gone live, so they can watch back and get a few ideas. That's how I'm going to be playing it today. But let's first of all see who we have actually got in the show. So Adrian was right there, right when I started this up. Hello, Adrian. Hope you are well. Ballycillian is out there saying hello. Nicola is out there saying evening. I'll see in 30 minutes. I'm sure she's out there back. Turbo Stream said, good evening, Veg Podcasters. Good evening to you. Oracle is out there. Hi, Army and Stuart Jackson over on the other outlet. Good evening to you. Kate Spratt is out there. Good evening, Veg Army. Hope all is well. Good evening to you. Idaho. Hello, Richard and everybody else. Good evening to you. Philly SPB is out there. Hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Hargrave Gas has joined. Evening all. I hope everyone has had a good week. Good evening to you. Chili Phil is out there. Good evening to you. Anna is out there. Hi all. Weird not to do this at lunchtime. I'm in England visiting. Fantastic. Hope you're having a great trip. I'm sure the weather is exactly how you remember it as well. So somebody in the Facebook group, evening Richard and the Veg Army. Unfortunately, when I see in the Facebook group, I may not see who you are. You may not see any of the links that I pull up from time to time. Don't worry, it's just the way Facebook works sometimes. David Williams has joined. Howdy all. Good evening to you. Who else have we got? Digwell is out there. Hi, Pop Pickers. Good evening to you. Rebecca is out there. Good evening, everybody. Lovely to see you. Good. Kate says I'm seeing a blurry too. It might just be the signal there because I've got a perfectly clear screen on here from what's been transmitted. Or if you're watching on YouTube, actually check your settings and make sure you're playing it in 720. Sometimes on live streams, Facebook knocks it, not YouTube knocks it down to 480 or something. So it might be worth just checking your settings and just make sure it's been played in 720. Rebecca says it's been a dry day for dry day for us today. So I made the most of it and got out in the garden. Lucky you. Lucky you. Digwell says low res image, mate. Well, I'm going out in 720, which is the best I can do. The only thing it could be is it's tanked down for the signal. Margaret also saying a bit blurry. As I say, from here, the bit that it's a blurred background, but me looks fine. Anyway, that's a technical issue. Anna says, dear Santa, I've always wanted half seed trays like you see proper gardeners use. There we go. We've got one off the list. On on the way to go. Not just Green Fingers UK blog, evening all. I can see you via Facebook. By the way, me and a hubby love your opening music and dance around the kitchen playing their guitar each week. I sit here to warm myself up, and I'll do a little jiggy as well to get myself turned on and into the mood. So yeah. Jenny says, I've had a garden-themed birthday, premiers, seed vouchers, Charles Dowden calendar, herb growing kit, plus I went to Nick Bailey from Garner's Well book signing and got his new book. Fantastic. Happy birthday to you. Hope you've had a great day. Great weather here today. T-shirt on the plot this morning. Weather has been crappier, absolute crappier today. Yesterday was okay, but yeah. Jenny says, I am making veg grown hamper for a friend. I'll post a photo when it's done. Also, Thompson & Morgan seed tin and seeds on offer for £5 this weekend. Digwell saying technical stuff. Yeah, I think it must be the weather causing issues with the signal. I can see it's a little bit low, but I can't do anything about it at the moment. Like I said, I've actually upgraded. I've got a instead of using my phone, I'm using a dongle instead, because it's meant to be better for signal, etc., and try to do this a little bit. But anyway, that's a technical issue. The sound's coming through fine, which is the important thing. Kate says, I went to a compost bin building workshop yesterday. It was super useful, and I've got my space cleared for it now. So now I want pallets for Xmas. Kate, that's a nice, easy thing that I'm sure many people will be able to find pallets to help you make your Christmas dreams come true. Yeah, a compost bin building workshop. It's amazing what workshops they do, isn't there? Stuart Jackson says, I would like a hori knife for Christmas. Grow Veg has joined and said, bath run and ready to eat in the stream. Not quite sure what's going there. Anne Wright says, hi, I was given a Japanese hand plow for Christmas last year. Totally love it and would highly recommend. Adrian says, one present I would like but no hope of getting is my plot to be dug over and de-weeded. You never know. Like I say, tell people who ask you what you want for Christmas, tell them to come and watch this show to get a few ideas. Grow Veg says, ready to listening into the stream. That's what he was trying to say earlier. Jenny also says, I've made handmade wooden seed pot trays on my Christmas list. Also money towards going to a show, maybe Malvern. Jenny says, Stuart Jackson, I got hori last year. Absolutely amazing. Hope you get one. So, as people have already started saying, they're listing off the equipment that they would like to find out under their Christmas tree. So what I've done, I've actually went away and had a quick look at things that I either already have or would like to have in my garden and that I would like to find under the Christmas tree. Now, the first thing is the veggie pod. I've already got a small and a medium. This one here is the large version. I'm a big fan of the veggie pod. It's a great piece of kit, and it's, for me, it's such a great way to grow plenty of vegetables. It's for those that don't know, it's a raised bed that comes up to about waist height. It's got a enviromesh cover over it to keep birds and insects away, but it also holds on to moisture and rainwater or water quite well in the well underneath as well. So it's a very good system just for growing vegetables or any plants really. So that has gone on my list. Like I say, I've got a small and a medium. I wouldn't mind the large as well, so that seems to make sense. Next on the list is the sub pod, and I've raved about this since I first got one. And the sub pod is basically an underground compost system. You fill it up with, I use kitchen scraps and garden waste in ours. You close the lid down, and the lid acts as a seat, so it's quite nice to sit down in the garden. It's in a raised bed, which I've built mine in. We grow veg around the edge as well. But the thing I like about this is the fact that when it's closed and everything's down, it is quite discreet, and I love it because it does just make the garden look that little bit tidy. I've got several of the Dalek compost bins, and I just think they look a little bit on the ugly side. For me, the sub pod just helps tidy the garden up, as well as continue on with the composting. Next is a weather station. Now, I did have a weather station. Unfortunately, got a bit too brittle. It was passed on to me from my dad. And Amanda's actually getting me one of these for this year. The idea being that I can just keep an eye on what the weather is doing, what weather we are having quite easily, and particularly the temperatures, the maximum and the minimum temperatures is really what I want to see a lot more of. So I know it's safe to get my plants outside, safe to sow my seeds. That's the general idea with this piece of kit, and it's just a good idea, I feel, to link things up. Now, somebody has already mentioned the Hori knife. I'm a big fan of a Hori knife. I've got one myself. I was using it yesterday, funnily enough, to do a bit of weeding. It's a Japanese tool. Hori stands for dig, and that's exactly what it is. It's a knife you can use as a digging. It's a great little multi-tool, cutting bits down. Great piece of kit, and that has also gone on my list. Next, a gardening multi-tool. I've had one of these for years, and I love having just a little garden multi-tool. There's quite a few of these on the market. The fact that there's a pair of pruners, a knife, a set of screwdrivers in the handles. What I find with having one of these, usually when I'm on the allotment, it's in my pocket. And because of that, you know, those little jobs that don't necessarily need doing straight away because you've got to go and get the tools to do it. By having this in my pocket, those little jobs just get done straight away. So big fan of just having a multi-tool on me at all times. Next, a potting bench, and I think this is quite a useful tool to have in any garden. I've got one in my greenhouse, and what it doesn't have is what this one in the picture does, is where you can use it to collect all the compost underneath that you would otherwise be wasted when you're potting up. So I might be getting a new potting bench or building something along it, but this is something that I felt is a good idea for a Christmas gift. These are LBC boots. These are Wellington boots that I also wear. And the thing I like about these is they're ultra lightweight. They come from a company called leonboots.co or lbcboots.com. These for me, because I'm a size 12 shoe, so I'm quite big footed, and the standard welly boots, I find they're really tough to get around the ankle parts. It's almost like you're breaking your foot to try and get them on and off. I found that these boots, although I look like Santa Claus because they're so big in me, they're just such a comfortable way. They come on and off easy, but they're also really light but sturdy. So what I mean by light and sturdy, again, being size 12 boot, generally shoes and boots that I wear are quite heavy. These ones, they're not heavy at all. They're just such a pleasure to wear. They're almost as light as a pair of trainers. They're so light and comfortable. Now, Horty Wool, this is something that I've had on the podcast quite this year. They make, and I've used them purposely, this brand, because it's the only brand that I know of. They make wool pads that can be used for starting seeds, for microgreens, but also for lining hanging baskets. It's a great way of using what is a waste product, and wool unfortunately is becoming a bit of a waste product. Pretty cheap, they're quite reasonably priced, but I think a great idea just to get a few gardens going. So yeah, Horty Wool, check them out. And finally, I think this is the last one anyway. Yes, it is. I tip wheelbarrow handles. Again, I've got these on all my wheelbarrows. And what I basically do is the handles rotate as you lift them up. So they're nice and comfortable, and just rather than trying to, you know, how a standard wheelbarrow, you're sort of moving your hands around to try and get hold of the wheelbarrow, especially when you lift it right up like that. these, because the handles rotate as you lift them up, the handles rotate into a much more comfortable position, and I find they make life easy for me. I used to do kickboxing, and I do suffer from some bad joints from that. My wrists particularly can get quite painful. I found using these just to make my life a bit more comfortable and convenient. So that is the list of items that I've come up with as the Christmas gardening list. So over to you guys. What would you like to add, or what would you like to find underneath your Christmas tree? Um, Rebecca says to Stuart, best thing I ever bought for my garden. That's the Hori Hori knife. I've already mentioned the Hori Hori knife. I've got to say, yep, I'm a big fan of the Hori Hori knife. It does make life very easy. I should say, actually, I better bring the phone line is hopefully working. I've had the phone fixed, so it should work. But the phone line is on if you want to call in. Lisa from Not Just Green Fingers UK blog. I would like a new wheelbarrow wheel, a new minimum maximum thermometer, a small first aid kit for my shed. That should be in the shed anyway, I say. New reusable seed trays, a ton of organic manure, etc. But I'm sure I will get boring things like for girls, like perfumes and smellies that I don't use. Well, if anybody asks you what you want for Christmas, tell them to come and watch this live show and get a few ideas. Idaho Garden Girl, I would love to have a veggie pod. Less expensive items like a bag of compost or a packet of legume inoculant gardening gloves. Yeah, when coming up with this list, I avoided the cheaper items, and for a very good reason. I feel a bag of compost. Everybody has their own favourite types of compost, and I find that if somebody brought me a compost, it wouldn't quite be what I wanted. I also wanted to avoided things like spades and forks. And the reason I avoided spades and forks is that if you're like me, you've probably got hundreds of spades and forks anyway, so you don't need any more of them. So they've stayed off my list for that very reason. Adrian, when I built a compost heap out of pallets, I found it didn't last very long before needing replacing. That's what I found as well, but I'm sure there's something that Kate will be able to share with us from the tree, from what she's learned from this course that we may be missing. Let us know, Kate. Adrian, if you use plastic pallets for compost bins, it lasts a lot longer. That's if you can get hold of plastic pallets, but that makes a lot of sense as well. Stuart, dear Father Christmas, please could I have a following? Hori Hori knife, a plastic spring rake, garden scissors, and an apple picker. I have been good. Thank you. Also, I've got to say, very good ideas. I've got a pair of Fisker's garden scissors, which I don't know if they sell them anymore, but they are a brilliant pair of scissors for gardening, just because they've got everything you need for gardening, including the sharpening points on the holder. Rebecca says, I do Secret Santa with my family. We've just spent £5, so I'm hoping for plant labels as I can never have enough, isn't that the truth? Simple, but that's what I need, and better than chocolate for me any day. I agree. Yeah. I mean, again, things like labels and things that you use up. I mean, I recycle all my labels. I end up with so many, but they do get used quite a bit, and I could always do with more. So, yeah, plant labels. That's probably a good one to go on the list as a little stocking filler almost type present. Or I mean, everyone's been a bit cautious, I feel, this year with their Christmas gifts, so we're trying not to spend money to excess. Bill and Val's Lobban. Hi guys, how you doing? I'd like an opinion knife, army knife. Okay, we'll add a opinion army knife. Good choice, actually. I do like. I think Muddy Boots, or was it Digwell? One of the two uses an opinion quite a bit. But opinion, I've got a few of their knives for my camping days. Good things. Jenny says, I have a potting bench planned using pallets. I would like to to come through the back, or a water tank underneath with a pump to sow, pot on, wash, cut in store, etc., and maybe some scales. Good idea. Good idea. Yeah, this potting bench has got me a few ideas thinking as well. It's I like the idea of using or reclaiming that water too. Good thinking there. Good thinking there. Adrian says, I have a potting bench my father made from an animal feed trolley to hold compost with wooden tops and sides. Good. Yeah. Good idea again. I think it's some great things going on there. Great ideas. And right, I love the wheelbarrow handle idea. Thank you so much, Anna. I've just realised you sent me some photos and I forgot to put them in. I will use those photos next week, I promise, when we come to the photos. Apologies, I completely forgot. I feel quite bad now, so sorry about that. Stuart Jackson, I did have a gardening truck, but I found one at the Christmas market last night. Yes, that's coming up in the photos as well. Richard Golding says, hello, sorry I'm late. Lovely to see you. Welcome to the show. Chili Kate, I'd like a tool belt or small tote box. I never seem to have the tools I want to hand. Yeah. Now, on that note, something I got for my birthday, which I haven't used because it's actually, I feel, more of a gadget for this sort of thing, is exactly what you're talking about, and something I didn't put on the list but could. It's a small gardening tote with, and this one's obviously personalized because it's got the veg grower on it, but also we've got personalized trowel and fork. So going in with that, something like that would suit Chili Kate. I don't know if Chili feels watching, but that's an idea for you. Nicola, I had a lovely pair of neoprene-lined wellies Christmas before last. January 1st, dislocated, broke my ankle. Watched paramedics cut a palm tree shape down the front of the new boots to get the foot out. Oh. Yeah, you're probably talking about someone like muck boots. They are meant to be very, very good, those muck boots. I think Richard Golding has got a pair as well. But yeah, oh, so you had it just over a week and they got cut by the paramedics. How upsetting. Stuart Jackson, I would really love a fruit cage, but I can dream as the one that would fit my garden would cost over £200. Again, you never know. You never know. We're putting it out there. We'll see what happens. Santa might be very happy and feel like you deserve it. We don't know. Kate says, I would love some well-padded knee pads. Trying to think, are mine in here? I've got some somewhere. But yeah, good idea. Actually, knee pads can be quite useful, especially when you're on your knees all day, down working in the beds, etc., etc. It just helps with that. Adrian says, I have to get a new wheelbarrow wheel. Is it better to get a pneumatic wheel or a solid one? I would say personally a pneumatic one, but we'll add that out there and see what anybody else says on that. Wheelbarrow wheels. Stuart Jackson says, you keep freezing tonight, but the sound is great. Yeah, it's possibly the signal issues. As long as the sound is coming through, I don't mind. But I'm upgrading the communication issues on the hope we're going to get better signal. So we'll see what happens. Jenny says, I've frozen, but the sound is okay, but screen is frozen. I'm a bit reluctant to move stuff around now, so hopefully it'll sort itself out. Brian's Garden Polytunnels nail varnish remover cleans used plant labels. Yeah, I mean, I personally, I use a pencil on my plant labels because it's easy to rub off. And then, do you remember the magic erasers? They generally sell them in pound shops. I just use those to clean everything off the plant labels. Nice and easy, and doesn't have any chemicals or anything. And and it makes it completely reusable. Oh, Chili Kate says we can't see. Hopefully, this is what I was talking about, the tote. A couple of people have said, "Can you see this now? Can you see this now? Can you see this now? Let me know in the comments. I'll hold it here for a bit longer as we'll go through that. I'll keep showing this off. Yeah, Jenny can see it. So this is the tote I was talking about earlier. So there we go. I'll hold it for a little bit longer. Make sure Chili Phil and Chili Kate can see it. Kate says, on the compost workshop, he showed us insulating the base and using straw and chicken wire. The straw will eventually break down as well, and you can top it up. I'll post when I'll do mine. That'd be great. Love to see that. Love to see this compost. Again, post it in the Facebook group, and I'll use it in this show as well. Digwell says, not a lot I want for Christmas. I've just brought 2 more birdies raised beds for my front drive, so I guess 12 bags of compost would be good. So there we go, 12 bags of compost for that. Right, they can see it, so I can pop my arm down again now. 12 bags of compost for Digwell. It's a nice and simple gift for him then, isn't it? Jenny says, I've been looking at those raised beds after watching you with yours. Maybe a January sale if I'm lucky. I've not. Yeah, so raised beds. Raised beds can go on the list for somebody. I mentioned that with a veggie pod. I'm not familiar with these birdies ones that Digwell has, but I'll check them out as well. Nicola says an old trampoline frames are good for making fruit cages or an old greenhouse. It's a good idea, actually. An old greenhouse makes a great fruit cage if you can get hold of one. Then just add some chicken wire around the edge or some something like that. Looks a little bit Heath Robinson, but I'm sure you can come up with something. Lisa says, I made a fruit cage out of old gazebo poles, which I purchased on eBay. It's not perfect, but it's saved me loads and works a treat. I like these ideas. I do like these ideas of a fruit cage. Solid every time. You can get ones now that are made from stiff foam, so they feel pneumatic. So that's a few ideas there. Or Adrian was asking about the wheelbarrow. As I say, I prefer pneumatic myself, but each to their own. What else have we got? Everybody's seen that, so good. Richard says looks a bit like 420, not 720. I'm going out in 720. I think it's the signal. Sometimes if a signal is a bit poor, they knock it down slightly just to try and keep it coming. So fingers crossed it sorts itself out and we get it through. Yeah. Those raised beds look great, Digwell. I'll be very happy to get some of those. That's those raised beds that we were talking about. Adrian says, I was tempted to get a solid one, but someone said they are harder to push over ground. This is talking about the wheelbarrow wheel. Is it harder to push over ground? Would it make any difference? Don't know. Stuart Jackson, I would like lots of more time in the garden, but my job gets in the way. And your job is teaching kids how to garden at the same point. But I know what you mean. That's something I personally would like is more time in the garden. Many of us who I feel were furloughed during that 2020 period suddenly realised just how much our garden works and we enjoyed spending time in our gardens. So, that's the one thing I don't think anybody could give me is more time in the garden. Idaho says, I'm thinking about replacing rotting wooden raised beds to birdies. You must like them if you want more, Digwell. That's a question to Digwell. Nicola says, for Christmas, I'd like a garden labourer. Yeah, does that not take the fun out of gardening though? From time to time, having somebody do it for you. That's my personal thought. I'd sooner get a cleaner or somebody to do the housework so I can spend more time in the garden. Personally, my personal take, but that's because I love being in my garden. Um, so yeah, one thing that I didn't add to my list, and I should have done, was a couple of book ideas, and the book ideas. So I've got to mention Lee Connolly, the Skinny Jean Gardener, and his How to Get Kids into Gardening book. I've got a copy of that. It's a fantastic book. It is aimed at families and getting people into the garden as a family. Um, so that, I think, if you've got somebody, a child who wants to get into gardening or anything like that, or a family that just moved into their first home with their first garden, it's got a list of jobs and ideas of what they can do in the garden together. And the second book that I've got on my idea is a book by Michael Perry, Hortus Curious. Michael Perry, the QVC gardener. Um, also does a weird and wacky talk, weird and wacky flower plant show. He knows his stuff about plants, goes all over the gardening world looking for plants. And this book is all about these crazy plants that do some crazy things around that he's found, such as plants that can catch fire by themselves. So they've got oils that are so potent they can set themselves on fire, or some that just look rude and things like that. Really good book. Really, really good book. Cillian is saying solid wheelbarrows are okay on solid ground, but get bogged down on soft ground. Yep, that makes sense. That does make sense, I guess. Nicola says Epic Gardener has shop doing buy 3 birdies, get 1 free for Black Friday sale. There we go. That's a way to save some money, isn't it? Jenny says, I have a gardener, but he is amazing and helps me do it rather than do it all. Excellent. Excellent. Good stuff. Um, yeah. Helps you. That's the key thing. Obviously, Jenny, I know you've got certain um I'm trying. I think is disability is the right word. I don't want to say the wrong thing at all, but I know you've got. It's not so easy for you to get out in the garden and do what you would like. So having somebody help you rather than do it all, yeah, totally agree. Rebecca says, I'm hoping to increase my aluminium plant labels. They're so much better than the plastic ones as they don't snap and still wipe clean. A lot better than using plastic all the time. Aluminium plant labels. I've never actually heard of these. I'm going to look these up quickly while you are here, and see what we can find out on those. Where are we going? Oh, I see. So I think if we can we can share this screen. Chrome tab. So what I'm just going to do is share the screen. So these are what some of the examples that Rebecca is talking about. Aluminium large plant labels. Let's click on those. Oh, I see. They're a good idea. I can see them lasting for quite a long time. I can completely see your ideas on that. What a great idea. Yeah. I, I think I would add that to my Christmas list as well. Now you've brought that up. Aluminium plant labels is, yeah, definitely. Nicholas says sometimes stuff is a bit heavy or hard for me. Sometimes you need 2 people. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. When you said the gardener and labourer, I'm thinking of a gardener, not a labourer. Sorry, my mistake. Um, yeah, yeah. They're 2-man jobs. Like Amanda often has to help me work for the or do things like that. Yeah. Sorry. Digwell says old aluminium Venetian blinds work well. Hundreds in one blind. Good idea. I've never thought about using aluminium plant labels at all. So this is quite a good thought, or quite a good idea for me, or giving me ideas certainly. Aluminium plant labels. I'm going to add that to my list. If anybody is watching, there you go. Kate says, love the idea of aluminium labels. Won't have the plastic breaking down in the soil too. Yeah, yeah. I mean, aluminium will eventually deteriorate and rust, but is aluminium a natural material? Not sure, not sure. I think it is. I think it is, but I could be wrong. Yeah, yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Is are we still jittery on the image? By the way, guys, I can't see anything. As I say, everything here looks crystal clear, so it's very hard for me to tell what you guys are seeing until after this show when I go back and watch it. Hopefully, it's coming through okay now. But the signal is still shown as being a little low. And White says, I had a tough digging job to do and brought myself a multi-purpose wonder shovel from Grumpy Gardener. Loved it so much, I brought another one for my friend at Christmas. So Grumpy Gardener, this is something else I want to... Let's have a look and see if I can... Oh, I want to... I want to have a look at this wonder shovel. Grumpy Gardener. Sorry, I should be doing this while you are there. Nicholas says allotment aluminium doesn't rust. Every metal does eventually oxidize in some form or another. It depends whether it is how it, sorry, sun just appeared on the screen there. It all depends on 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 the level. Everything does oxidize, is what I'm saying. It does eventually. Trust me, I've got some old fridge evaporators that are made of aluminium that have rusted. Well, rusted is the general term, but it has worn down. Aluminium is the most abundant mineral in the soil, so it's a natural found thing. Anyway, I was looking at, let's see this, the Grumpy Gardener garden tools, and excuse me, see if we can find this wonder shovel. Are you guys seeing this? Yes, you are. Scroll on. It must be here somewhere. Oh, come on. Come on, come on. Ah, here we go. Here we go. We've got green and red. We'll click on the green one. Oh, I see. So it's got a pointed. Oh, interesting. So it's a pointed shovel for digging, obviously, with a serrated edge, or almost like a rake, a daisy puller on the bottom. Oh, interesting. So I'm guessing. Get rid of that quickly. I'm guessing that by who was it? Anne, who said this. I'm guessing that because it's at that point, it probably gets into the ground a lot easier and even cuts through roots a lot better as well. Let me know. Let me know if that's what you have found, please. Nicola says, Digger, like the idea of an old blind chopped up. Indeed. Rebecca says, I get them from Nutley's Kitchen Garden. Not the cheapest, but trying to limit my plastic. Better than any wood or plastic and reusable. I don't like the wooden plant labels. I've got a few of them, but I just find they either go rotten and mouldy or they don't last. I prefer plastic over the wooden ones, in all honesty. But if aluminium is better, that looks even better. Nicholas says, I would like a caterpillar track burrow to get up my hill for moving compost plants and tools. I'm pretty sure that they're coming up with like a battery motorized caterpillar wheelbarrow at the moment. That might be an idea. It certainly would make life a lot easier sometimes. Jenny says, I do like plant labels with a hole in so I can thread and tie to stems, etc. Hopefully, I'll find some aluminium ones with holes in at one end. Yeah. Oh, Nicholas says, lost visual. Um, can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Let me know in the comments. I'm hoping the visuals is coming back. We shall see. But at the end of the day, as long as you can hear me, that's the important thing. Don't forget, guys, the phone line is open if you want to call in 07307 135 174. Added to that, if you want to zap in, I'm adding the link in the comments as well and appear on screen. Hopefully that is all working. I've had a word with our phone supplier and got the phone supposedly fixed. So, yeah, there we go. You're back. Fantastic. Nicholas says, the one I'm looking at is £2,000. Present to self, I think, indeed. Richard is saying, mate. Hello, mate. Jenny says, can hear you, but picture is freezing. Yeah. Sorry about the image keep dropping out. That's all I can say at the moment. As I said, I brought a Wi-Fi thingy to try and make it a bit better. Just a poor signal at the moment. Richard, that Grumpy Gardener sells aluminium plant labels. I didn't see them just now. Let's see. I can't see them. I don't want to spend too long. Don't want to spend too long looking at websites when trying to talk to you. It's very, very tricky to try and do the two things at once. I'm a bloke after all. We don't multitask very well. Turbo Stream, I'm back. Phone call at 5 to 6. Lovely to see you, Turbo Stream. Hope it wasn't a serious or an urgent phone call. Rebecca says they have holes in, Jenny, a bit spendy, but they last a long time. 50 for £15.95. These are these aluminium plant labels. I always say I don't mind spending money on things that are going to last and things are going to be used for several years. I've always said, like, if we buy ourselves a spade, admittedly, I'm a big fan of buying sort of second-hand spades that are like my ones. They're wooden handles. They're proper. They cost a fortune when they were first bought, but now they are here to last. So I don't mind spending money on things that are going to last when it comes to gardening. I always say. I mean, I know there is a cost of living crisis going on at the moment, which makes things a little tricky. And right says, yes, great for digging stony poor soil and excellent for lifting shrubs. Like a hot knife through butter. I do like, excuse me, this is the Wonder Shovel, Wonder Spade. Wonder Shovel from, oh God, the image just moved and I don't know what happened there. The Wonder Shovel from Grumpy Gardener. I've got to say, I do like the idea of it. It does look like a very good shovel for digging really some stony. I'm thinking I've got the problem out the front with the compacted soil, and that will probably dig through that quite nicely. Jenny says, thank you to Rebecca. I think they will be in present budget. So perfect. Talking about these aluminium labels, that's caused quite a stir. I like the idea of these. Turbo Stream, all I want for Christmas is good health to carry on my allotment. That's similar to, was it Stuart that said, I want more time in the garden? I think great ideas. It is, as I said, when I was furloughed and I had that time off, I was down the allotment and doing gardening every day. I honestly say I was the happiest I've ever been. It doesn't pay the bills, of course, and I've got to pay the bills, which is the important thing. But I completely agree with what we're saying there. Turbo Stream, my brother on the phone after a trip to my nephew's new house in Yorkshire. Okay, so nothing too serious then or anything like that. Right, at this point, I know the image is being a bit tricky for you guys. I will keep fiddling around during the week to try and improve it for next week. But at this point, I just want to ask you if you could be so kind to give this video a thumbs up or a like, depending on which platform you are watching. And don't forget to click subscribe or follow, again, depending on what platform you are following. And click the notifications so you know when we go live. Even though we go live at the same time every week, it's still a good idea to get the notifications. And I haven't said this for a while. I say this every week because otherwise I get told off on both Facebook and YouTube for not saying it. Somehow their system is watching what I say and knows it. And I get this email, wait, you didn't say that. Turbo Stream, I was top dressing my plot this morning. The ground is saturated still, so limited job till it dries out. Yeah, I've been on call this weekend, and today I didn't do much actually. I built a bokashi compost bin. It's something you'll hear on the podcast tomorrow. Funny enough, on Wednesday I had a guy from a company that does bokashi products. Now they're not trying to sell anything, in all honesty, but on the podcast tomorrow you'll hear the interview, and he showed me his two bokashi bins. One is one that was bought and one that he made himself, and I made that version here at home today so that I can start making my own bokashi compost. And yesterday I popped to the allotment quickly, but just doing the weeding, and it's just too wet at the moment to try and really be able to get in there. Luckily I've done a lot of my big jobs down on the allotment, so it's just a case now of clearing the weeds and tidying. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on at the moment. Alison O'Brien has joined. Good evening to you. Yeah, the weather just isn't on our side for gardening at the moment, is it? And in some ways, as we're going into these winter months, down on the allotment, I've got a lot of the big tasks done and out the way. So throughout the winter, I can concentrate on weeding and tidying a bit more. Added to that, so what we're talking about still is what Christmas gifts would you like to find under your Christmas tree? I know we've got quite a few ideas already. Hori Hori knife seems to be incredibly popular, and I don't blame you. I think a Hori Hori knife is a great addition. One thing I've noticed, and I've said this for quite a few times, one thing that nobody out there has actually said that they would like to find, I'm sure they wouldn't turn it down though, are any plant seeds or actual plants. One thing that I get, I mentioned this on another podcast, you get these at this time of year, you get these little kits that are meant to be like grow your own curry, grow your own bonsai trees, and grow your own, I don't know, coffee or your own chocolate. And basically all they are is a bit of compost, a few seeds, a pot in a nice little package, and then they charge quite a lot of money, I feel, for what it is. It looks great, don't get me wrong, and it has a gift idea, it's probably a good idea. But none of you have mentioned any of those. Is that because you're a bit like me? You realise that they're a bit of a I don't want to say con, but a gimmick. Bit of a gimmick is gimmick is probably the best word to describe it. You know what I mean? The grow your own bonsai kits that we see quite often, or grow your own curries and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about and if you feel the same as me. Assuming I'm still going live, that is, and everybody can still see and hear me, because the comments for some reason have suddenly stopped. There's a full screen mode on the button. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't got a comment for there we go. It is still working. Turbo Stream, I partially emptied one of the big compost bins and buried some old wood and thick cuttings ready to cover over, similar to a hugelkultur bed, and will cover with leaves for a couple of years. Good idea. I've done that on my allotment as well. Made a hugelkultur bed, basically thrown a load of logs and wood and clippings and stuff like that into the bottom to start to fill up the bed. Covered it over with compost, and my understanding with hugelkultur, if anybody doesn't know what it is that the wood acts as like a sponge. So you put it in contact with the ground, it holds onto water, and then roots and plants will grow and use that water to help them grow, especially throughout dry seasons. I've got to say, I didn't find it worked too good this year, being 2022, but 2023 might be different. We will see. I've currently got my onion sets planted in it, and they're actually off to a really, really good start. And these are in my deep corrugated iron beds I have down on the allotment. Like I say, whether it works or not, we will remain to see. And just thinking as I'm talking about them, when I get round to the potatoes, which will be 2025, when that beds get used for potatoes, that's going to be the real interesting time. Hogue says those grow kits are expensive. People have given me those grown kits in the past, and I've not had success with them. I feel bad that people have spent good money on them. Yes, that's kind of how I feel about them. To me, they just feel a bit of a gimmick that are a bit overpriced and type of thing that I feel people get because they know somebody is interested in gardening or interested in plants, just because they see it and they think it's a good idea. And it, I'll be fair, it is a good idea, but I'm not a fan of them, generally speaking. If anyone is really struggling for me, I just say buy me garden vouchers. I always use them, so a good gift. Yeah. I didn't add garden vouchers to this list, so garden vouchers are probably quite an important thing to add, and very, very useful and important. Yeah, garden centre vouchers. I think I've still got one I haven't used yet. Toby Stream says, if I have enough material, I might grow squash on top. Yeah. I mean, again, not my hugelkultur beds. What I've been doing on a couple of beds is just throwing some weeds and clippings and prunings in there, which I'm going to use for growing squashes and beans throughout 2023. Hoping it gets off to a good start and works as well using what do they call it? It's almost like composting in situ, which is a method I'm quite fond of now. Toby Stream, my late allotment friend had a tub of chicken pellets for Christmas one year. Do you mean chicken manure pellets? Chicken manure pellets. That's a good point. That's a good point. What gardening gifts have you received in the past? And I want to be a little bit negative. No. What has been your favorite gardening gift that you've had in the past, and what has been your worst, or what hasn't performed as well as you had hoped? Throw that out there as a question to ask you guys in this. Nicholas says, I had 50 bags of compost a few years ago for Christmas. 50 bags, that's quite a lot going there, isn't it? 50 bags, indeed. Well, they the 50-litre bags as well. That would be, I can't do the sums at the moment, but yeah, a lot of compost, but it all gets used. Christmas gift received that didn't work. Bergen and Ball tool belt. Second pocket was too small, so the phone pocket and key fob fell apart within days. Nice thought, but sadly not practical. I've got that very same tool belt that you're talking about. Had a little hole in it to pull string through, didn't it? And I know exactly what you mean. The secateurs pocket is just a little bit too small. Yeah. Alison O'Brien, hopefully next year's summer will not be as hot as summers change each year. I'm hoping to plant lots of vegetables, salad, etc. Fingers crossed. I mean, I think every year the weather is always a challenge. It's just a case that we work with it and hope for the best. Plan for the worst, hope for the best. Hence why I put a video out earlier this week about how many about my water butts and the fact I said 14 in there, but I worked it out afterwards it's actually 16. But to keep them going, I just pump water from one water butt to the other. That way I can always have plenty of water. Turbo Stream says chicken manure pellets. They were chicken manure pellets, sorry. I might ask for fish and blood and bone as I have run out. Yeah, good enough, good enough. Lisa says, I had a big tub of blood, fish and bone for my birthday. A fab present. Yeah, I mean, just looking down, I've got some of those in various places as well. Oracle says, I can't answer, Richard. I like my dinner too much. I'm sure. But hey, it may not be from that person, you know. I'm trying to think myself, if anything. Best gift was a gift certificate to a garden centre. Worst was grow kits or baskets of old seeds. I'm totally with you there. Totally with you. Grow kits and baskets of old seeds. Stuart Jackson says, I've been thinking about Christmas presents. I would really like a couple more water butts. Good choice. My best present was my chili growing kit 2 years ago, which is still going as I have saved the seeds. Okay, so that kind of flies in the face of what I said earlier, but I do agree. A chili growing kit is still performing 2 years later and just using the seeds. Okay, good idea. TurboStream, I'm slowly saying to people, don't buy me anything if it isn't useful. Fed up of tap for the sake of it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Bad for the environment too. Yeah. My she doesn't watch, so I think I can safely say this. My mother has a tendency to buy a lot of tat. And I'm trying to think of some examples. She went for this stage of buying me little chicken signs or chicken figures type things, which at 1 or 2 was great, but when you end up with so many, it got a little bit like, oh god. Yeah, not a fan of the tat. Stu Jackson says, also the one I would not buy anyone else. Cheap string from a pound shop. Ain't that true? That stuff, you don't even need a knife to cut it. It just snaps, doesn't it? It's awful stuff. Nicholas says, my sister did 2 homemade gifts. Loo rolls flattened in a couple of boxes and yogurt pots, which she cut into plant labels. They were my best presents that year. Excellent. I do love it when people actually make useful gifts and use things that a bit of ingenuity. As I said, this year, you know, cost of living crisis is going on. We are all struggling a little, and we've got to make the most of what we have. Digwell says blood, fish, and bone has had a bit of bad press lately as it seems to attract vermin, but I take that with a pinch of salt. You know, they say that about a lot. Blood, fish, and bone either attracts rats or foxes is the other thing I've heard they attract. I've never found it myself, and at the end of the day, the vermin are just attracted because they think there's food there, and when it turns out there isn't, they run off. Vermin are always around. Vermin are always around, regardless of what you do. Blood, fish, and bone, I don't think really attracts them. It just probably makes them come out and more visible. Yeah, that's how I would phrase it. Yeah. Oracle says, I wouldn't like to see Santa coming down the chimney with the water butt, Stuart. You never know. You never know. I mean, he's got to get himself down somehow. Idaho says a person gave cute little baskets with seed packets, all sealed up in cellophane. When opened it, the dates on the back of the seeds were a couple of years old, and underneath was a lump of styrofoam packaging. Was this a non-gardener who wasn't aware of these seed dates, out of date, seeds going out of date? I know that's a bit of a contentious issue that seeds may not necessarily go out of date, but I think if somebody doesn't know anything about gardening, that might be what happened there. Stream, I line the planting hole with fish, blood, and bone to give the plants a boost. A few chicken pellets at the bottom of a hole before planting. Yeah, chicken pellets, blood, fish, and bone. Big fan of them. Mycorrhizal fungi as well, I think is a great one to use. Bone meal as well. I keep mine in juice containers, plastic juice containers. I think I've shown you before. I use the juice containers because then you can just pop the lid open and shake them. What annoys me, and I've got an example here, these are kept in cardboard boxes, which is great for the environment, but what tends to happen is the cardboard gets wet, and the contents on the inside absorbing some of that moisture, and it tends to clump together, which is great, but we generally keep them in sheds, and that tends to cause problems. I find those plastic juice containers to be much more better way of keeping the product dry and useful. Jenny says, I am a homemade wreath a few years ago. Hose pipe to make the wreath, saved seed in seed packets drawn by me, gloves, snips, etc. Love making gifts, love receiving made gifts. I like this idea of this handmade wreath. I've got a bit of a challenge coming up to make a Santa's grotto in my garden, so I like this idea. Idaho Garden Girl, they were being thoughtful, but it was a non-gardener and they ordered delivered by mail from a company. Yeah, they were being thoughtful. There was no malice meant to it. They just wasn't aware. I will probably be given money for Xmas, says Alison O'Brien, and would buy a small tree to put in my garden. You're the first person to actually have said a tree or anything, funny enough. And I don't think it's a bad idea. I know this year we were all meant to be planting trees for the Queen's Jubilee. So I don't know if anybody did actually plant a tree. I did. But yeah, I think a tree as a Christmas gift is a good idea as well, because at least it's going to last. Thomas Stream, I decant my fish blood and bone into a jam jar with holes drilled in to use as a shaker. Yeah. Oracle says, you're not too far off looking like Santa, Richard. I'm losing weight, thank you very much. It's all muscle under here, underneath all the food as well. But hey, I know what you mean, especially with my boots on. Jenny says, bloody auto spell I made not I am. How do I turn it off? I did wonder. Stuart Jackson says, I make wreaths with the children at school, so primary school children can do it. We should all have a go. Ours are free. Good idea. I do like this idea of handmade wreaths. Should we have a look at some of the photos that have came in? And as I said earlier, Anne sent me some photos last Sunday, and I forgot to add them in, but I will add them in next week because they were actually really good photos of her allotment. So Ballycillian sent me this one, and it's of his Christmas spuds that he has harvested. He says not many people on the allotment at the moment, but he's harvested these Christmas spuds, which look delicious, and a good lot of spuds there ready for Christmas dinner. Tanya has been busy tidying her allotment up, and as you can see, she's doing a really good job, I've got to say. She's also been planting out some strawberry plants that she's received. Again, looking fantastic. But the thing she's really proud of is her onions. They are growing really, really well, as you can see in this picture. Hopefully you can see anyway. Kate has sent us this November plot shot, which again looks absolutely stunning, nice and tidy, and coming together nicely, isn't it? All our allotments are starting to really close down. Is probably not the right word, but going into a hibernation mode is better. Stuart, he spoke about a trug earlier, and he's got this little bargain. I think he said £14 from a charity shop in Cirencester. Great thing to have. I've got one in my garden. Great thing to harvest your food in. Kate has got this out of her worry. She's been talking about compost bins earlier today as well. What a lovely, fine looking load of compost that is. Looks almost like seed compost. It looks so fine. I'm a big fan of a worry and a great piece of kit to have. Posting keep them photos coming. Post them in our Facebook group. Send them to me via social media, or send them to. Sorry, I took myself out there. I just paused for a second because I said they were Ballycillians. They were actually fillies. Sorry, guys. It's I think you mentioned Ballycillian in the message. Sorry, they were fillies spuds at the beginning. Apologies for that. Um, yeah. What's we got? Anne says we decant dry fertilizer into old glass sweet jars, keeps them dry. That's yeah. I mean, I'm with you. I'm with you because, like I say, these sort of things in cardboard boxes. You know, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with well, there is cardboard boxes obviously biodegradable and um, it's not like it's a waste material, but I mean I can already feel this feels a bit on the damp side already. It's sacking in that moisture from the environment. So at least in plastic, it's going to keep the product drier, which means it's better for well, I wouldn't need to buy it so quickly. Stuart, I could do a little video if it helps. Please do, Stuart. That would be great. Nicholas says to TurboStream, no good for the last lot of BF blood, fish, and bone I bought. It was pellet, not powder. Well, what you could do then is keep it in a plastic container and just scatter it by hand. That's what I would say. TurboStream says it works a treat about his jam jar method that Idaho liked the idea of. So much economical and you don't get it on your hands. Absolutely. Absolutely. Jenny says bindweed woven into rings and dried makes great base for reefs. Bindweed. I know bindweed is a love-hate relationship. I like the plants, I like the flowers, and they are great for compost material, but they do take over. They can get a little bit invasive, can't they? Idaho says it's great to find a use of bindweed. Very nice spuds to Philly. Says Idaho, indeed. Oracle, is Santa going to get the Q&A with Stuart sorted? Let's hope so. It's all about the signal. As I say, it's not brilliant tonight. This is the issues, is that live streaming is very, very internet's hungry upload. So you need a very, very hard, very, very strong upload speed. As Stuart's saying, you've gone again, but still getting sound and total eclipse, gone completely black. Digwell says it's all said, Richard, fit 10p for the meter for Christmas. No, I need 5G. I need 5G to come in my area. Then we can get a better signal. That's all it relies on. I get a decent phone signal here, but the internet for uploading, which, as I say, live streaming is upload heavy, is very, very low. Where was I? Jenny says to Idaho, I let it grow over a fence so I can harvest it. Make wreaths, but this year also hoping to make woven cloths to keep pigeons of young veg in spring. Indeed. TurboStream, Richard needs a mega long patch lead to plug into the router. LOL. Trouble is, our broadband is actually, the upload speed is worse than our mobile phone, believe it or not, which is why I use my mobile phone for this. Like I say, our download speed on our broadband is pretty damn good. Uploads 2 megs is at the most. And for this, you need at least 5 megs upload. Most people don't look at upload speed, but I have to. Jenny says, oh my goodness, off, not off. Okay, I'm going into settings. What could I do? I'm trying to think. Have I got something I could try and knock it down with? Let's see. Oh no, because I'm in the middle of a broadcast. Yeah, I was going to say I could try and knock it down slightly, but I can't do that while I'm in the middle of it. Oracle says we will cover Stuart's petrol money, Richard. I'll give him a call. Stuart, are you working this week? Oh, of course you're working. I'll give him a call. We'll work out what we can do. I will try to zap in next week to see how it goes. Then if it works, we can sort that. There we go. Good idea, Stuart. Zap in and see just how well it goes. Let's say this is a bit of a, talking of which, I'm just adding a link to zap in. Bit of a tech hungry episode this. Let's see. Let's see. Any comments I've missed? No, I think we've done it all. Okay. So I think we found out what you guys want for your Christmas presents underneath your Christmas tree this week. A lot of ideas that have been shared. I noticed that everybody was a bit reluctant to say what bad Christmas gifts they've had in the past. Quite rightly, because there's no such thing, perhaps. So I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to change the question slightly. What gardening gift present do you not want to find underneath your Christmas tree this year? What gardening gift present do you not want to find under your Christmas tree this year? Let me know in the comments. Call in on 07307 135 174. Just check the phone is still on. Yep. Or you can zap in on a link in the comments. Plenty of options open to you guys should you want to add your own thing. Hopefully, I know we are having issues. I will work on this during the week to try and make it better. Figure out where the best place to put the what you call it, router is, to try and get a better signal. But yeah, what gardening gifts do you not want underneath your Christmas tree this year? That's my question to you guys now. Just we've got about 15 minutes to go. Dear Gwell says, I've never had a bad gardening present, as my family always ask me what I want. So that's a good question. I've got an item just here, actually, that I did actually ask as a Christmas present. It's this. And some of you might know this. It's basically a seed sowing item. You put your seeds in there. Let me bring this up to the overhead. You put your seeds in there, and you twist it around, and then you slide it. Let's see, like so, and the seed drops out. Well, it's a bit squeaky, isn't it? That's the general idea. And I asked for this. I thought it was a great little gadget to use in the garden. You get different seed holes for whatever. I used it once. I ended up with a bad back after using it, so I never used it again. So that was a bad Christmas present that I asked for. I'm going to throw that out there because I'm prepared to say that. Stuart Jackson says, too many visitors in our house tonight for me to hide away to call in tonight. I don't want to see any plastic tools, pots, etc., as there are so many others now. Yeah, plastic tools and pots, etc., that you don't want. I get that. Plastic pots, particularly. I've got so many plastic pots that I think I've just got to get rid of them at some point soon, just because they are so bad. So many of them. Stream, I've not had any bad gardening Christmas presents. I'm not that fussed about gifts. I understand that. I've not had any bad. I'm not fussed about gifts. So you're lucky then. You're very lucky. Ballyslin, as true allotment growers, even if the present is not perfect, we can use it for another purpose. Good point. Very good point. But there must be something you just don't want. Just don't want. Nicholas, says seed packets as I have too many. There we go. That's an understandable thing. I'm with you. I've filled my fridge up with seeds. Don't need any more seeds. I don't want a seed sowing device. Absolutely. I'm with you. I thought this was going to be a good idea. It's a gimmick, in all honesty. This was advertised a lot of the time. Seemed to have a lot of people like it in the press, but I just found it was my ears run out. I just felt it was too fiddly, too uncomfortable to use, so it never got used again. It might be better in something like the veggie pod, actually. We'll see. Oh, cool. I'm still waiting for the signed picture of Digwell to replace our wedding photo. We will sort that out for you, Oracle. Hargrave, I don't want any more lettuce seeds. I have loads. Um, I'm trying to think. Have I got any for the Seed Supporters Club? But I know what you mean. I like lettuce. I mean I do a lot of cutting come again salad leaves, so I sow them quite thickly. But I'm a big fan, and we use them a lot. So I'm a big fan of that. But I get what you mean. We end up with so many lettuce seeds. Stu Jackson, if I put a tool on my Christmas list, i.e., brand, I really don't want a cheap alternative as they will not like. Yeah, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I've known, um, I've asked. I hate that phrase, but I've said I've wanted a particular tool, and I end up saying that just give us the money, I'll get it myself because I want that tool from that brand, not a cheaper alternative. Um, One example was the wonder shovel that was mentioned earlier. I like the idea of that wonder shovel, but I know somebody would hear shovel and just go get a garden shovel from a garden centre, which could be perfectly good, but not the one that you particularly want. So yeah, with you on that. Turbo Stream, I'm not keen on people buying me things just for the sake of it. Yeah, money is hard enough at the moment. I'd rather an hour of their company and a cup of tea. Turbo Stream, you are very blessed. Very blessed. I do agree. I mean, the thing is, not everybody this year, particularly, as I keep saying, people are struggling financially. We're in this cost of living crisis. Bills are going up. You know, people cannot afford to put the heating on or feed themselves. We don't need gifts from those people. We don't need gifts from anybody, really. People, being around people, or something we said earlier, time on the allotment, time in the garden, far more important than anything else. And I'm a big believer of that. Digwell says plastic is not the real enemy. The disposal is the issue. Yeah, many items are now made of plastic derived from plants, but it still gets a bad press, e.g., Lego. Yes, yes, I've always said that plastic is a good material. It has a good use, and the problem is the disposal. It does go brittle, or can go brittle after a while, and if it's not disposed of properly, that's where issues become. So I totally agree with you. Don't worry, Digwell, you're a household name here in the over 60s club. The cooking is going down well. Indeed. Our allotment, says Kate, has been talking about doing an open day. I'm thinking of using my vast amount of plastic pots and spare seeds to set up a have a go area on my plot to take away with them. I like that idea, Kate. I really do like that idea. An open day would just go, I mean, I think allotments need to do more of an open day and raise awareness and get people coming down. But the idea of your have a go area and gets rid of some of those plastic pots, that might be what I need to do to get rid of mine. I'm going to look into that. Thank you. Thank you. I like it. Digwell says, I don't want microporous seed planting bags that you bury in the soil. They take too long to rot and the roots don't penetrate. Yes, I know what you mean by those. There's some planting bags you bury in the soil. Um, yeah, yeah. Kate says some of the gifts I'm doing this year are my own seed kits from seeds I harvested myself this year. Seems more personal. Yeah, again, I'm talking about the overpriced ones that you pay like 15 quid for, like 5 seeds, a bit of compost, etc. But things that you've done yourself, got a bit more of a personal touch. Great idea. Absolutely great idea. Idaho, I'd rather people come visit me. Nobody has visited since Christmas 2018. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That must be very lonely. If you were down the road, I would pop down, but unfortunately, it's a long way away. And I've had some poorly designed hand trail fork sets in the past. Even had one from Fortnum and Mason, which was stylish and probably expensive, but sadly had naff tools. Yeah. Yeah, I'm totally with you. Again, I'm going to use these as an example, these personalized trails. You know, I like these. I'm not going to use these in the garden. they actually feel quite sturdy, but I don't know how well they will last. These are my decoration tools, as I call them. Excuse me. Loads of recipes coming. Videos as garden slowed down. Excellent. Time stream. I could make an exception for a signed Digwell photo though. Digwell, people want your photo, but oh no, not everybody's a member of a supporters club, so I'll save that. The problem is any new plot holders overload on plastic pots and don't realise. You know, I keep trying to get rid of my plastic pots. I refuse to throw them in the bin because I just think that's wasteful. But I've got several bins behind this shed just full of these plastic pots, and they just seem to breed. I just cannot get rid of these plastic pots. I use them. In fact, I've got quite a few in my greenhouse on the allotment. I do use them, but they just too many to even try and pot to use. Ballysin says, I cut the bottom of my spare plastic pot, bury to ground level, fill with seed compost, then sow my carrots and parsnips in them. Makes life easy for weeding and reuse for years. Yeah. A good idea. A good idea indeed. Yeah, I have to see. Can you send us a photo of that or a video of you doing that or something at some point? That would be great. I'm with Idaho Gunga. I would much prefer to spend time with people than they buy me a gift I don't want. Good idea. Good idea indeed. I mean, I'll come back to that. I think I've got to admit I'm a bit of a recluse these days. I'd sooner just spend some time at home or in my garden than anything at the moment. That's just me being a bit reclusive lately. Jenny says, Idaho, I can't visit, but we'll be here for you on a Christmas quiz. Always PM on Facebook if you want to chat as well. There you go. Indeed. Don't forget the Facebook. We have the Facebook group as well, which does run 24/7. So anybody can go in there and chat away. I don't have any rules, to be honest. The only thing I'd say is keep it garden related. But even that, I keep it a bit loose. But anybody, that is a 24-hour chat service. I do see everything. I don't have admin or anything, so it's pretty loose. But please do feel free. If you are lonely or want to chat, it is there 24/7. Stream, I'm collecting a few duplicate hand tools for my nephew. He can make use of them in his new first garden next year. Indeed. Yeah, I mean, again, this is a trouble with hand tools. I've got so many trowels and hand forks that, I mean, I actually have been getting rid of some of our old tools to pass on to people. Pass on to people who actually need them. Ballison says, we'll do the video when sowing next year. Not great. I know, yes, they've all moved 1,000 miles away. They send thoughtful gifts, but I'd much rather them have a visit. They have busy lives. Yeah, I understand. Oracle says, you don't want to see the skip, Richard, then. The plastic pots. It just seemed to breed, I swear. Like I say, I cannot throw them in the bin. So, yeah. Idaho says, thank you, everyone. I'm planning to be on the Christmas live stream. Yeah, we will be live on Christmas Day at 6 o'clock. It is a Sunday, as always. We're doing a bit of a Christmas quiz, which Margaret, thankfully, is potting together. Where are you live in video? 6 o'clock, as always. It's a Sunday. We'll probably run a little bit longer, like we did last time. May even get a few drinks on the go, but just a bit of fun. And our family like to remake, or buy secondhand gifts. They will be getting apple butter and chili jam from me. Indeed, yes. Yeah, indeed. So we've got about 5 minutes to go. And during this last week and during this live show, I have been trying to think of what we're going to do next Sunday and our next Sunday live stream. So let's have some ideas. I keep asking you for ideas of what we can do for a live stream. Let's get a few ideas from you guys on what we're going to do next weekend. Let's have a quick look. Jenny says, Anne, that sounds amazing. Stuart says, I'm making the wreaths this week with the children, so I will do a video and get it to Richard ASAP. Please do. Please do. That would be great, Stuart. And that could be a lot of fun. Rebecca says, I'm really looking forward to the Christmas one. Yeah, me too. Me too. I think it's just going to be nice. You know, we come together every Sunday, me and you guys, and I think it's just be nice to do this on Christmas Day. I know many of you have probably got other things going on, of course, so don't feel you have to come or anything like that. But I'm looking forward to it, and with the quiz was a lot of fun. Time Extreme, I have my grandmother's lawnmower to give him. His grandmother, who died a few years before he was born, a cool cast push mower works perfectly. A lot of work those push lawnmowers, aren't they? Especially on the allotment. I have to use the strimmer on the allotment, but the push ones are hard work. Digwell says, I have 3 kids. Each one invites me for Christmas Day, so I decline each one so as not to upset the other 2. Digwell, take it in turns each year to see a different child is my advice. And I'm speaking as somebody that we would take it in turns with our parents to go around. We don't do it anymore, though, admittedly, because we like Christmas Day at home now. Oracles, thanks for the warning, Stuart. Turbo Stream says plot tours. We could do plot tours, but I need quite a few videos from you guys for that. But that would be a good one. If we can do plot tours, then please do. I'm always worried about doing that just in case we don't get enough videos to fill in the hour and a half. If it still works, that is a real treasure. It says about the push lawnmower. Yeah. Yeah, I like the push lawnmowers, but they are hard work. Alison O'Brien said she will be joining the Xmas quiz. Excellent. I'm looking forward to it again. Jenny says, I would chat at some point about what supports clothage protection we have made or put together recycle for all years, so the frosts and birds and slugs, etc., etc. Yeah, that's actually a very good subject. That's a very good subject. I do like that one. Anne says, I can do a plot tour from the summer. Yeah, I mean, if you want to send the plot tours in, that would be great. Yeah, email me, richard@adventuregrowerpodcast.co.uk, and I'll tell you how to send me the videos. Plot tours are always welcome. They always go down well. So yeah, we can do plot tours next week, and I think we'll fill that in if we don't get enough videos with this one about what cloches and plant protection do we use over the winter. So we'll cover that with 2 subjects, just in case I don't get enough videos. Grave Gas, maybe garden related gifts that we can make or grow to give people at Christmas. That would fit with the wreath making as well. Yeah, that's definitely one we can do. Don't think we'll do it next week. We'll do that the week after. Because I might, if Stuart sends me a video of this wreath making this week, I might try and make my own wreath live on this live show. That would be how I'm doing it. That would be how I'd like to do that one. Garden myths. That's a good one. That's definitely a good one. That's definitely a good one. Turbo Stream says crop protection methods. Okay. And I was waiting for that comment. After I embarrassed myself at the first, the other 2 won't ask. Indeed. Lynn says, what I'd love for Xmas is an Indian hand weeding tool called a Kipri. Does anyone know where to buy one? I've never heard of a Kipri, but that's a good idea. Love a plot tour, and I did a plot tour from early October that I forgot to send up. You know what? What we'll do if you've got some of these plot tours, you can make plot tour up this week. So planning to do a video of a plot tour of my allotment this week, but if you can, that would go down really, really well, but with the backup of the crop protection. And then we will do garden myths and the reef making as well in the coming weeks. So yeah, plenty of content. That pretty much sees us out till the 1st of January, I think. So yeah, great ideas coming in there, guys. Right, it is 7:30. So I am going to call this one a day. Thanks so much for joining us, as always. It's been great to get your ideas and get your thoughts on Christmas presents that you are going to be would like. Don't forget to pass this video on to people who may be asking you what to get for a gardener or what to get for Christmas, just so they can share about it. Stuart Jackson says, if you're going to have a go, you will need 5 to 6 pieces of willow about 5 foot long to make the ring. Well, yeah, we're going to, that gives me, that's why I want to see your video, Stuart, to get an idea of what we're going to need. Anyway, I'm going to close this one up because I want to go and figure out where we could get a better signal to try and make it better for next week, so we don't get a blurry vision and lose signal, as Hargrave Gas says. Apologies once again for that, but I'm glad the sound carried through. You take care, guys. We will be back again next Sunday. And as I said, it's going to be plot tours and crop protection ideas, or what you use for crop protection. So 6 o'clock next Sunday. Look forward to seeing you then. Until then, please take care.